Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Excellent TXT Series 3. We are delighted to have all of you in this live ceremony as everybody at the moment is not physically allowed to be in college. Therefore, here we are having a live session with all students. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the technical issue. Before we proceed, we have a few pleasant reminders to all of you who will be with us from the beginning till the end of this program. First, this 2-hour program will be conducted live. Therefore, we truly hope to get good cooperation from each and every one of you to not leave any inappropriate or sensitive comment in the comment section. Second, to all students of Tan College for session 2020 and 2021, please stay tuned with us until the last second, as the attendance will be recorded throughout this live. And as usual, the Secretariat at any time will allow the QR code to be displayed at your screen. Do not forget to scan this QR code and follow the further instructions, or else you'll miss out the merit for this program. Hence, please make sure to stay tuned with us from the beginning until the end of program. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening I bid to all. Yang berusaha, Ms. Syaza Nazura Binti Noor Azmi, freelance career coach, fellows of Fun College, and to everyone who willingly spend their precious time on this ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, the objective of our sharing talk today is about increasing employability and personal brand to stand out in the job market. As sooner or later, all of us will be the next fresh graduates and we have to seize every chances that we have, especially in post-pandemic COVID-19. Considering all of that, we have decided to conduct this talk to share the reality of the careers life that we have to face one day. I personally believe this sharing session should be given attention by all students in order to prepare themselves before venturing into their career life. Ladies and gentlemen, today's session will begin with sharing by the speaker and will be followed by Q&A session. If you have any questions, views, or even ideas during this session, feel free to leave them in the comment section. The Secretariat will read the question thrown by the audience randomly. Ladies and gentlemen, today's talk entitled Future Talk will be delivered by Ms. Syaza Nazura. Before we proceed any further, I would like to share a little bit about our speaker's background. Ms. Syaza was previously an academic advisor at Monash University, Malaysia, and currently working at an international school in Selangor. At the same time, she is also a freelance career coach and a resume reviewer, and also a career coach for Talent Corps #Kisah program and the HRDF Career Coaching Program. With all due respect, I would now like to invite Ms. Syaza Nazura Binti Noor Azmi to deliver her talk. We're truly sorry for this technical issue. We're currently fixing that. Please stay tuned and be patient to stay hearing with us.
I'm unmuted, right? So why is it not coming out? Okay, boleh dengar kan? Okay. Sorry everybody, technical issues again. That's the downside about doing virtual talks apparently. So I'm very, very sorry about that. But I'm glad that you guys can hear me now. So like I said, if you guys didn't hear it earlier, it is really important. Like I know a lot of people don't start to think about their careers after until after they finish your final year or your FYP, but it is really, really important for you to think about it now, just because it takes a while for you to get to the idea of like applying for jobs and knowing what kind of jobs you want to apply to. So when you are a student in university, that is the best time to start thinking about your career and where you want to go and how you want to ensure that you are making the most out of your time at university to prepare yourself for your career. So, my name is Syaza. I am a blogger, and like I said, I'm currently working in the school as an admin assistant, but I'm on the side, I'm also a career coach, and I enjoy talking about like personal development and graduate employability, and essentially working with students to help you guys think about what you guys can do to prepare yourself for the future, not just for your career, but also like for your personal life, things that you can do to improve your life, like chase your goals, chase your passions, and things like that. So in today's session, before we start, I only have 2 rules. The first rule is that there is no stupid questions. So you are all here to learn something, however small it may be. So just ask as many questions as you like. The secretary will bring up your questions later at the end during the Q&A session. So if you have any random questions regarding whatever that I say today, or if you have any other questions in regards to how you can prepare yourself for the future, just send your questions over in the comment section and we'll figure things out together. And the second rule is that whatever I'm saying now, like everything else in the world, there's no one size fits all. So just remember that what I say might not work for you depending on who you are as a person. So something that works for me might not work for you. Something that works for you might not work for your best friend. So just remember that whatever that you listen to, either in this session or in other career sessions in the future, just remember to think about how it would best fit you as a person and just pick and choose whichever that will work best for you. So today's session is split up into 3. So the first part is we're going to talk about what you can and should do right now. So if you're a student, things that you should consider doing while you are in university itself. The second part is going to talk about the bulk of job searching, which is how you're going to navigate the job market, how you're going to stand out, how you're going to start applying for jobs. And then at the end, we are going to do a lot of the Q&A. So that's going to be where you can ask all the questions that you have regarding job searching, career planning, and everything else. So let's talk about what you can and should do right now. So before we start, can you guys just put in the comment section on like if you guys are a first year student at university, second year, third year, or if you guys will be graduating or have recently just graduated from university. So this is just to help me get an idea of where you are in the whole process. So that will actually be useful so that I know kind of like roughly what where you guys are and can hopefully cater the whole session to what will be most useful for you. So just shoot them in the comment section so that I can roughly know what phase of life you guys are in. So main important part, no matter what phase of life you guys are in, the first and most important part is to start with self-awareness. Just because you won't be able to know where you want to go if you are not sure about where you are right now and what makes you you. Okay, so I'm looking at the comments and a lot of you are first and second year students. That's great. That just means that you guys have a longer time to start to plan ahead. And with self-awareness, if you guys are a first year and second year student, you guys have a lot of time to try a lot of different things, to experiment with a lot of different things, do a lot of self-reflection. That would actually be useful for you as you start to plan ahead for your career 3 or 4 or 5 years from now after you graduate. So take this time, you can screenshot these questions if you want, or you can take a picture of it, or you can just come up with any random self-reflection question. But this is just important for you to start to think about what is important to you, who are you, and how would you say how would your friends describe you? Why are you studying this degree at UPM? Why are you doing your degree now? Where do you see yourself in the future? And I think 2 of the most important questions that I always ask myself is kind of like, what is your most non-negotiable value in life? So what is something that you hold true to yourself, and no matter what everyone else say, that is one thing that you're not gonna like budge on, that you're not gonna want to sacrifice. And then number 2, what does success means to you? Success means to you it's going to be different than what success means to other people. So like for other people, they want to work in the corporate life, they want to climb up the ladder, work in the bank, be a top CEO or something like that. that can be success to one person, but success to another person might just be you want to have a happy life, you want to retire early, or you want to work in the school, or you want to work in an NGO, and that's also fine. So it is important for you to know what success means to you so that you focus solely on reaching that success and not being pressured or intimidated when you see other people reaching their version of success. This is because after you graduate, you will see a lot of people, or your classmates, your friends from other universities, when they start to apply for jobs and everything, you might get intimidated when some people have secured a job right after university, and then you might take a few months. So then if that happens, just remind yourself again of what is your success, what is your version of success, so that you remember kind of like what you want to focus on and to really think about what you can do to actually achieve your version of success. So just make sure you think about some of these questions. It might take some time. Some of the questions you might have to like really research about, like what kind of jobs you want to do. That's going to take a little bit longer time. One tip that I would have, if you don't know kind of like where to start, is just to ask your best friend, or like ask your roommate, or ask some of your college mates, how would you describe me in 3 words? That's always the best way to start, so that you can actually see how other people see you. You can talk to your lecturers to see how would you describe me as a student, so that you can see how other professionals look at you. And then you can think about, is that something that you really want people to know you about, know you by, or you want to change that thing? So some of your friends might say you're a joker, but then you don't want to be seen as a joker. So you might want to start to think about how you can change that in the future. So really spend some time to actually reflect on yourself. The earlier you start this and the more concrete your answers are, it's a lot easier for you in the future once you start applying for a job or once you start going to interviews. Just because when you go for an interview, your employer will ask you kind of like, tell them about yourself, or tell me why I should hire you, or why do you apply for this job, or where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? So when you start doing all this self-reflection now, it is going to be useful for you in the future when you actually go for these interviews, because you already know the answers. So take this time, even though it might be like you might feel like, oh, leceh lah, do all this thing, why do I want to do all this thing? Or you might feel awkward thinking about all these kind of questions, but trust me, it is going to be very, very useful for you in the future. This is one study that was done back in 2018 that says 60% of local graduates remain jobless 1 year after graduation. So you don't want to be one of those 60% of local graduates who are jobless. So you want to make sure that you are preparing yourself and ensuring that you're going to be successful in your job search, whatever the job search might be. You want to make sure that you can secure a job as early as possible. Or if you want to take some time after graduation and find a job, that's also fine. Whatever works for you, but just make sure that you are thinking ahead about how you want to plan your career and what you can do from now on until when you graduate to actually ensure that you are putting yourself up for the best in your career. So one thing that is, if you are studying marketing or sales or business, this might be something that is familiar to you. You're going to focus on your unique selling proposition. So what is your USP? Your USP is something that is very, very unique to you. What is the skills that you have? What is the experience that you have that will benefit the employer? So essentially, this is going to be the answer to why should they hire you question. So why should they hire you out of all the thousands of graduates out there in the job market? Why should they hire you over another friend? Why should they hire you over another graduate? So you have to really know kind of like what makes you stand out in the job market. Think about your skills, think about your experience. And I know a lot of students would think that, oh, I'm a student, I don't work, I don't have any experience, how I'm going to fight in the job market. You do have skills. Remember that you do have skills, you do have experience. All the academic projects that you do, any FYP, any volunteer work, any events that you attended or organized, so like things like this give you experience and give you a little bit more skills. So like if you're part of the secretariat, you gain a lot of event management skills or like communication skills. If you organize any fairs or any meetings, and if you join a sports team, you learn a lot of the different type of skills that that's going to be useful for you in the job market later on. So things like that, just think about what do you have, what have you done previously that is going to be useful in the career. So things like soft skills are really transferable. So think about what have you done throughout your whole university life, in university or even outside of university. So if you volunteer at the church or at the mosque, if you go out to do the soup kitchen, things like that, really remember all the skills that you have learned and think about how can you use that in the job market? How can you use that in your career? So one example that I can say is that I didn't do an education background. I did my degree in business, but then I volunteered a lot in high school. I volunteered in middle school, so I went to talk to different type of students, talk about my experiences with the students, and those experiences outside the classroom actually gave me the skills that I need when I start working, because I deal with students. I talk to students on a daily basis. So like all these volunteer skills that I developed was actually useful for me in my career. So spend some time to actually think about kind of like what unique skills and experience that you have and how that will benefit you in the in the job market. And another thing that might be useful, this is going to be familiar if you did business, probably you might have learned about this. So you can conduct a SWOT analysis. So what a SWOT analysis is usually most businesses and organizations would conduct a SWOT analysis when they want to start a new business strategy. So like say, if you own a business and you want to open a new branch, you will do a SWOT analysis to see if it's going to be a feasible option, if it's going to be a profitable option to actually open a new branch. But you can also do a SWOT analysis for your personal life or for your professional life. So it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So strengths and weaknesses are things that are internal to you, things that you have control over, things that you can work on, or things that is really what you have control over lah. And then the opportunities and threats are things external to you, things outside in the job market, outside in the world that you literally have no control over, but then you can take advantage of, or things that might just be challenging to you because of the job market. So you can do this not just when you're looking for a job. So I included some questions that you can start to think about when you do a SWOT analysis for your job. But then you can also do that in any aspect of your personal life. So you can do a SWOT analysis if you're thinking about buying a house in the future. Do you have the financial capability? Do you really like the area that you want to buy the house in? Is there actually a trend in opportunity for you to buy because the house prices are low, things like that? So you can do a SWOT analysis to think about pros and cons. Essentially, SWOT analysis is thinking about the pros and cons of a decision. So you can even do it if you want to get married, to actually think, would you want to get married now, or would you want to get married in the future? Are you getting married to the right person? Things like that. So you can do it in any aspects of your life. So just gonna give you an example so you can kind of like see how a SWOT analysis looks like. So this is my own example of if I want to do a postgraduate degree. So if I want to do my doctorate in education or my PhD. So some of the strengths that I have would be I have my professor support for master's degree. So my professor told me that if I ever want to do a PhD, they will write me a recommendation letter. My family supports me if I want to do a PhD. And I'm really, really interested to research and learn about a very specific niche, which is the graduate employability. But then on the other hand, I know my weakness if I want to do a PhD, in that I don't have, I am lacking in the research and publishing experience. I've never written an academic paper. The only long academic paper that I've written was my master's dissertation, and that was it. And then I'm also lacking in working experience, because the EdD that I want to pursue, most people will have at least 10 to 15 years of working experience. So that's kind of like things that I would think about when I want to do my PhD. And then I also think about the opportunities and threats, the external stuff. So like with COVID-19 and everything, there's a lot more trends and research going on about how the graduate job market is going to be affected. There's a lot of trends in gig economy, e-commerce and everything. So there's a lot of things that I can research on. But then the threat is there's going to be lack of funding for that. And especially with PhD and education programs, there's definitely a lack of funding. So it's going to be hard for me if I want to do it. And then travel limitation, because there's a lack of suitable programs in Malaysia. So if I want to do my @D, I might have to go abroad. So thinking about going to Australia at this time of this time of COVID-19, probably not a good idea. So I might want to wait until after everything is settled down, everything is back to the new normal, then I might be able to consider doing that. So this is just an example of how you can do a SWOT analysis. So do it for your job, do it thinking about, okay, so if you want to go into, say, the finance industry, what are your strengths that it's going to be useful for your to pursue a career in finance? Maybe you are doing a finance degree, or maybe you have worked part-time or did your internship later on in the bank and things like that. That will give you the strengths and experience that was going to be useful in the finance job. But then might be your weakness is that you might not have connections in there, or you might lack the networking skills, or you need to work on your interview skills, things like that. So just start to think about kind of like what industry you want to get into, what kind of jobs you want to do, and then start to do your SWOT analysis to see what things you can work on between now and actually when you start to apply for your jobs later on. As I said earlier, it is never too early to start planning for your careers. Most of you are first and second year students, so that is a great starting point. Understanding where you are right now is going to be really, really helpful as you plan for your future career. Someone on Twitter, I think this past week, talking about you got to know your ABZ. So you got to know where you are right now. That's going to be your A. This is where you are right now. You are in university, what you have right now, your current skills, your current experience. B is going to be your next step. What are you going to do next? If you're lacking the experience, do you want to think about taking a part-time job or doing an internship over the summer or over your holiday? Or you might want to thinking about taking on a volunteer role so that you can actually develop your skills. And then you got to know your Z, which is your end goal. Where do you want to see yourself in 50 years from now? Where do you want to see yourself in 40 years? What do you want to retire as? How do you see your future career looks like, so that you can actually start to plan where you're going to go in the next 5 years, 10 years. So have short-term goals, that things that you want to achieve in the next 3 months or 6 months. And then have medium-term goals, so things you want to achieve in the next 2 or 3 years. And then long-term goals, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. So that will actually be useful for you as you start to plan ahead. So that's the first part done. Now we're going to move into the nitty-gritty part of like actually applying for a job. So we're going to talk how you can navigate the job market, how you can start applying for a job, how you can prepare yourself and everything else. If you have any questions, just make sure, like I said, just send them over in the comments and then we'll be able to talk about that later on. Resume and CV. This is probably going to be one of the things that is most people are worried about. This resume and CV part. So this definition is the US-based definition because in the US they have a very distinct difference between what a CV is and what a resume is. So a CV, because it says curriculum vitae, it is typically used in academic or research-based job. So in the future, if you, after you finish your degree, if you decide to apply for a master's degree to like do research or like a research assistant, or if you think about doing a PhD, you're going to have a CV. A CV is going to include all your academic achievement, any FYP, any research publication. So once you start doing your master's and PhD, you're going to list down all the conferences that you've attended, all the talks that you've given and everything else. That's going to be literally a list of all the academic achievement that you've done. And it is usually minimum 2 pages and usually a lot longer, just because you're going to list down, say, once you start applying, doing your PhD and everything, you're going to have a lot of research papers and everything else. So a CV is going to be long. A resume, on the other hand, is very, very short. It is just between 1 to 2 pages maximum. You never do a resume longer than 2 pages, just because people are not going to look at it if it's going to be longer than 2 pages. A resume is used for job application outside of academic work. So if you're not thinking of joining a university as a researcher or as a professor or a lecturer, you're going to use a CV. It's focusing more on your skills, it's focusing more on your work experiences, so any part-time jobs that you've done, any internships that you will be doing, volunteer work, any student organization that you've joined. your resume is going to be focusing a lot on that. Just remember though that in Malaysia, people use the word CV and resume interchangeably. So if you look on JobStreet, which most of you will be probably using JobStreet to apply for jobs, you're probably going to see some companies saying that, oh, drop your CV and everything else. So just remember that if the job is not an academic job, so if it's not a research-based job, or if it's not a teaching, if it's not like a lecturer professor job, they mean a resume. So you literally use a resume for all your job application unless you are applying to be a professor or a lecturer. So things that are going to be in your resume or in Malaysian CV when you're applying for a job, you're going to have your contact information as always. That's going to be the first thing that is going to be on your resume, because that's the first thing that people are going to look at is what's your name, what's your phone number, and what's your email address. Don't have to put your you don't have to put your home address in just because for privacy reasons you don't want to have your personal information on it too much. Phone number and email address are just good enough for them to be able to contact you for more information. Some people will have a summary or objective on it. You're going to have your education background. You're going to have your professional experience. So professional experience will include any part-time jobs that you've done, any internships that you've done, or if later on if you start working, that's going to be your full-time job and everything else. Extracurricular activities. So any sports team that you've done, any student clubs that you've joined while you are in UPM, include those in if it's relevant to the job. You might have a core skills or competencies section. You might have a personal or academic project. So if you do your FYP, you can either include that in your education, or you can also have a separate academic project spot. For engineering students, sometimes you might do like group projects or case studies and things like that. You can also include that in under academic projects. You can have awards and honors. This can include like Dean's List or like Next Chancellor Award or any other awards that you have accomplished while you're in university or even outside of university. And then some people might have a reference. So like you can include a reference in your resume. Some companies will specifically ask you to include a reference in your resume. Some of them might not. So there's a lot of things that you can include in the resume. You might not have all of these things, and that is fine. Like personally for me, I don't have an honors or awards section on my resume, and I don't have my references on my resume just because I want to save the space to actually do more on my professional experience. And that's okay, because what works for you, like I said, what's going to work for you is going to be different than what works for other people. So just think about what is because your resume is an extension of yourself. So you're going to want to make sure that you are portraying the best version of yourself on your resume. So it's going to look a lot different than what your friend's resume is going to look like. The template might be different. The wording might be different. So like some of you might call it working experience. Some of you might call it professional experience, or you might just call it experience in general, and that's also fine. So just find what is going to work for you, and then just personalize it to make sure that it is going to be who you are as a person. These are just some common practices that I see among Malaysian students and graduates, and if you can, please do avoid it. So the first most interesting and most common mistake that I see is that most people rate their skills with arbitrary numbers. So either you put your Microsoft Excel 9 out of 10, or some people when they buy the templates, they have the bullet point and then be like 4 out of 5 circles, or they have the pie chart to say how much is their skills in Canva or things like that. Try not to do that just because these are really, really subjective numbers. How do you know that you are a 9 out of 10 for leadership skills? How do you know that you are 4 out of 5 for Microsoft Excel? You can't really put a number to your skills unless you have taken specific tests to actually say what your skill level is. So like for instance, English level, you can always say that you took the MOET and this is your results. If you have Japanese skills, or if you speak Japanese or Mandarin or like other languages, you have all those different tests that you can actually put into to say this is your proficiency level. But for things like Microsoft Excel, like Canva, AutoCAD, any softwares, and even like soft skills, so like leadership skills, communication skills, teamwork, you can't really put a number on it. And even if you put a number on it, most people tend to overestimate their own skills. So like most people say that they are a 9 out of 10 for Microsoft. But then when you go to work, you realize that you don't actually know a lot of things on Excel that you can do. There's a lot of different things on Excel like VBA, VLOOKUP, and most people never use them. So try not to rate your skills with numbers. If you want to rate your skills, you can use words like beginner, intermediate, or advanced. That's a lot safer. So that at least they kind of like roughly know the idea of like what you can do with Excel or what you can do with different things. Another like way to actually show what you can do with different skills or with different softwares is to actually include that in your experience. So when you write about your experience, say for instance you have to do a FYP and you did some research using Microsoft, like you did a survey on Google Forms, and then you ask all these people to fill up a survey, and then you, from the survey responses, you tend to like export them into a Google spreadsheet, and then you start doing all your analysis. So you can include that and say you used Excel to actually calculate and analyze like 500 responses from a questionnaire, and this is what you found. So in that case, you actually tell them what you actually used it for, instead of just copy and pasting a list of softwares and skills and then include it in your resume. So give them proof of like what you have used it for. Give them proof of like, this is what you can do. So if you use Canva to do posters and everything, include that in to say, use Canva to create posters for this event. So give them actual proof so that they're not going to question kind of like, what do you actually use it for, or like how did you use it? So you actually tell them in advance, this is how I've used it, this is what I used it for. And then the second mistake that a lot of people do is they focus too much on the design. Unless you are applying for a creative position, so like if you are applying for a graphic designer, if you're applying for anything that you need to show your creative side, your graphic design skills and everything, you don't have to worry too much about the design. My resume, which I'm going to show later, is literally black and white. There is no hint of colors at all. It's literally just white background, black font, and that's it. If you want to put colors in, that's fine. You want to buy templates, that's also fine, but don't focus too much on the design, just because even if you have a really, really fancy template with like icons everywhere, if there's nothing in it, if the content is not there, it is essentially useless. So focus more on actually getting the content in your resume, and then you can start to like make it look nice to actually like stand out among all the other resumes. But just make sure at the first instant your content of your resume is there. And then the last mistake that most people will do is you have one resume and just one for your whole entire life, and you send it to every single job that you apply to. You don't want to do that, just because different companies and different job will require different, like they have different requirements, they will require different skills, and they will require different experience. So you want to make sure that you actually personalize all your resumes when you are applying to different jobs. You want to make sure that you are actually addressing what the company is looking for in your resume. So for instance, like one marketing assistant at one company might ask for more graphic design jobs, graphic design experience, graphic design skills. Another marketing assistant at another company might ask for more social media skills. So you just want to make sure that you spend time to actually understand what the company is looking for, and then to look into your resume and ensuring that you are meeting their requirements but in your experience on how you actually addressed it. So I will share the links to this later. So like I said, I blog. So I did blog before on the 5 tips on for your resumes and mistakes to avoid. So I will share that link later to you, so you can have a look on like some other common mistakes that people do in the resume, and some tips that you can do when you are writing your resume later on. On top of your resume, when you are applying for jobs, you might be asked to send a cover letter. So a cover letter is just one simple letter. It's just one page to express your interest. So it's just to give them a little bit of introduction of like who you are, kind of like why you want to apply for that jobs, and why they should consider you for that job. So think of it as the first message that you're going to send to your potential employer. So just to give them an introduction of like why you want to apply for that job, and highlight and always highlight kind of like why you want to join that company. Just because there's going to be a lot of people out there looking for a job, and you're going to have to be able to make them feel that you really want to work for them, and you're not just there to get the job for to get a job to get the money, and that's it. So you really want to show that you are interested in the company personally. You want to research the company to say what their mission is, what their vision is, what's their aim. This can be as small and personal as you like. So it can just be like, I have a friend who was a Petronas scholar when he was in high school, and he became a Petronas scholar after high school, after SPM, and then he wants to work with Petronas. So when you can see that he's been involved with Petronas from a young age. So you can just say that, oh, I've always followed Petronas because my mom probably was in Petronas and I really enjoyed that, or probably you like kind of like went to an event that someone from Petronas attended and give a talk, and you really got inspired by that person, things like that. So it can be something personal and a really, really small thing. Or it can also be just something like, oh, I saw an ad by this company and then you got really interested by the way that they do it. That's why you want to apply to join them as a marketing assistant. So it can be as simple as that, but just to kind of like show them that you are interested in them as a company itself, because you have to think about job searching. It's not just for you finding a job, but it's also for the company to find someone to join their team and actually like build up the company. So they want to find someone who is really, really interested in them, who is really, really interested to actually work with them to help accomplish their goals. So you want to make sure that you focus on why you want to join them and why they should hire you. So focus on your USP, focus on what you can bring to the company, focus on more than just you want the job so that you can grow and develop your skills. Any job can do that. So why do you want that particular job, and then what you can offer to them. So like you can offer your network, you can offer your skills, show them that you are there really for the company and the position, and not just for the money. Like I said, applying for a job is kind of like finding a partner. You want to really, really woo them. You want to like, you don't just go up to someone. So like I don't go up to my husband and say, hi, can you marry me please? You got to like woo them. You got to like get their attention. You got to show them kind of like why they should hire you. So you got to show them on what makes you unique, why they should pick you over other people. And when you are talking to a recruiter or like a HR person from a company, if you are applying for a job, make sure that you help them to actually help you. Most recruiters want to help you. They really want to help you. They really want to help you find a job. They really want to make sure that companies can find the right people. So don't blindly tell them that, oh, can you help me find any suitable positions in your company? Because they're not going to know what you are good at. They're not going to know what your skills are and what you want to work in. So help them to help you by telling them kind of like, I am interested to join your marketing team. I am interested to join your business strategy operations team. I'm interested to join your engineering team. So be specific in kind of like what you're looking for so that they can actually help you easily. Because if you tell them, I'm looking for a job, can you help me find any suitable positions? And they'll be like, I have thousands of positions. Which one do you want? So it's going to be really, really hard for them to actually help you if you don't want to help them to help you out. And the most important part is your first impressions do matter. So these are literally actual 2 messages that I've received. And I'm not even a recruiter, okay? I don't recruit people. I don't hire people. But somehow this person emailed me and be like, and they didn't even get my name right. Literally Shana. Even though my name is literally in my email, they didn't even get my name right. And then they randomly emailed me asking me for a job. And I'm just like, I don't even hire, or I don't even know who you are. I'm not even hiring, and I don't even work as a recruiter or a HR. So it's kind of like you got to make sure that you're emailing the right person, and the way that you email them has to also be professional and courteous. And you're going to be sure that you tell them kind of like how you found them, or maybe if you contact them on LinkedIn, or if you contact them by email, you can say, I got your email from LinkedIn and I'm just interested to know if there are any opportunities available at your company. Things like that. So be really professional when you are emailing someone, or like when you are reaching out to someone, just because they most of them might not have time to actually answer your questions. So as the easier you make it for them to actually help you, the easier it is going to be for you. So I'm gonna take a short break for now and just check in. How are you guys feeling about your future career? Are you guys excited? Are you guys scared? Are you guys confident about finding a job, or are you nervous about navigating the whole job market and the prospect of the future of like where you're gonna go after you graduate? How are you guys feeling? Just send them over in the comment section. I think I saw a question that the secretariat, if it's okay, I'm gonna answer that question first. Someone asked, Farisha asked how to find a coach or advisor that can help us to apply for a master or PhD. The first easiest part to start is your university itself. So depending on where you want to do your PhD or masters in the future, look at the university, look at the department staff list, look at some of the professors that you are interested to work with, and reach out to them. That's kind of like what I did when I was doing my master's last time. I looked up different people on different universities, and then I found different people that I might want to work with or that I'm interested in their research. I send them an email to ask more about their experiences, to ask more about opportunities and things like that. So the main important part is just to be able to like go up and ask questions, because most people, if you ask them nicely, they will want to help you. So just reach out to them and ask them any questions that you have. So don't be scared. I know I think job searching for most people is a little bit scary because you don't know what you're looking for, or you don't know what the world has, or kind of like how to approach things, which is why the self-awareness at the start that I was talking about is really, really important. The easier the more you know about yourself, the more comfortable you are talking about your passion, talking about your goals, talking about your dreams, talking about your strengths, the easier it is for you as you go for an interview. So I think most people are scared and nervous about job searching is because you are scared about the interview. You don't know what to answer to the interviewers. You don't know how to like impress them in the interview. Practice talking about what you want to do. Practice talking about your strengths. Practice talking about yourself. The more, like I said, the more comfortable you are, the easier it is for you to actually like try to convince other people. If you talk about something that you are not sure about, it's going to be hard for you to like convince other people that you know what you're talking about. So just make sure that you really, really understand yourself. Make sure that you really, really understand your strengths. And then it's easier for you to convince other people. So like I used to be scared of interviews, but then so I did my degree in business and in actuarial science. So last time I was trying to apply for internships in actuarial companies and in insurance companies and everything. And I found it really, really hard going to interviews just because I don't know why I studied actuarial science, to be honest. I really don't know why. So I don't know what career I want to pursue at that time. So I was, when I went to the interviews with all the actuarial companies, with all the insurance corporates, banks, it was hard for me because I could not really convince them of like, this is what I want to do, until I decided, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. And I wanted to do education. I wanted to join a university or a school. I want to work with students. And when I decided to make that change, it was a lot easier for me just because I got used to talking about, I am really, really comfortable talking about why I want to work with students. Like if you give me time, I can talk about it for hours nonstop. So when I go for an interview, it's not as nervous as scary because I am literally talking about the things that I love. I am talking about my blog. I'm talking about my volunteer work. I'm talking about all the different things that I'm doing with students. And it just comes naturally because I'm used to it and I'm really, really comfortable talking about it. So think about what is something that you can really talk about nonstop, something that you are really passionate about, something that you really, really like and enjoy doing, and try to see if you can use it and as a career. If you can pursue it as a career and you make a living out of it, go ahead for it. It's going to be a lot easier. And then before I go on to the next one, I saw another question by Ain. I think Ain is asking, what is the appropriate answer when the interviewer asks you, do you have any questions for us? Always says yes. That's kind of like an opportunity for you to actually know more about the company and know more about the position. So think of a job interview as a two-way street. It is for them to get to know you, to see if you're going to be a good fit for the position, if you're going to be a good fit for the company. But it is also an opportunity for you as the interviewee to interview the interviewer about their experience. You want to be, it's a chance for you to actually see if you actually want to work for that company or not, if you actually think that you can fit in the company or not, or if you actually want that job. So use it as a way to actually explore what the has that's going to be useful for you. Like things that you can ask in an interview with your interviewer, you can ask them about the benefits. So like some companies might have additional so like this is all the non-monetary benefits. So some of them might have like a gym, or they might have training developments that you can consider, that you can take advantage of. They might send you off for trainings here and there, depending on what kind of jobs you're applying for. You can ask them about the work roles. You can ask them about their experience in the company. So what I've personally done before is, when one of the managers who interviewed me has actually worked there for like 20 plus years. So I actually asked them like kind of like, how have you seen the company grow and where would you see it growing in the future? Things like that. You can ask them about their experiences, the best part about working in their role, the worst part about working in the role, so that can give you an idea about how the job is. You can ask them about the team that you're going to be working in, things like that. So ask about things that is going to be important to you in your job. So if you really want a company that values the employee, for instance, if probably in the future, if you have kids and you want to make sure that you can take care of your kids while you are working, some of companies you can ask them if they have an internal daycare, or if they have like extra maternity leave, or like they can give you time for like to breast pump and anything. So things like that, things that is important to you, ask them during the interview to make sure that you are showing them you are really interested and want to know more. Because if you say no to the questions, do you have any questions for us? It kind of makes you feel that you are not really interested in the position. So at the very least, ask one question. Ask one question to show that you are interested to learn more, to show that you really want to work with them, that you want to use that opportunity as a way to like see if the company is going to be the right fit for you or not. So I hope that is useful. Let's go on to the next part for now. We can look at more Q&A later. So I think someone, before we started, mentioned something really, really important. Because when you are talking about like, oh, you are waiting for your merit and everything from attending all these events, and then someone responded, just keep track of all the events that you have attended. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. I would just say, have a master resume, have a one Word document that you use to keep track of every single thing that you have done. So like most of you are first and second year students at university, which is great. That just means that you have a lot of time to like keep track of everything that you are going to be doing in university. So just have one Word document, include everything that you have done, include all the events that you have attended, all the events that you have participated in, and if you can, include all the skills that you have developed. So like if you've developed all these different type of leadership skills, or like communication skills, social media, event management, organization, include that in with all the experiences as well. Just because if you don't start your resume from now, and if you don't keep track of it, in the future, you're going to forget every single thing that you have done in university. Like I have a master resume that helps me to like keep track of everything that I've done from my first year of university, which is 2013. If I didn't have that, I would most probably forget. I think when I go through my master resume, there's a bunch of like events and summits that I've attended, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I kind of forgot I attended the event. That was like a 1 day event and I forgot about it because it's just 1 day out of how many years you were in university. So if you don't keep track of it, you're going to forget about it. So just have a list of all the things that you have done. It's going to be really, really useful for you in the future when you start thinking about kind of like what have you done and what skills can you show that is going to be beneficial for a job. And then you want to start the initiative now. You are in university and you have at least 2 or 3 years before you start working. Think about what you can do now and what you can utilize with what is around you. So like your university's career center, UPM has a career center, so make sure you utilize them. Your career advisors are there to help you. So like they are there to help you review your resume. They are there to help you like work on your interview skills. I would probably assume most universities, career center would like plan career fairs, and they have networking sessions with companies and everything like that. Take advantage of that and go and attend as many events as possible, just because that will help you learn more about what you want and do not want to do. So when I was in university, when I was a business student, I attended a lot of the business talks, a lot of the networking sessions. And then after 2 years of doing that, I realized that I didn't want to do it anymore. But then I don't regret going to all those events, just because if I didn't go to all those events, and then when I start applying for a job and apply for a business job, that would be like a waste of time, because I didn't know I was not going to enjoy it. But at least after I joined all these events, that gave me an idea, that gave me an insights early on in my university life that was not something that I wanted to do. So joining different events will open your eyes up to like all the different opportunities available and help you think about what would work best for you and what would be more suitable for you. Right now, during COVID, there's a lot of different virtual career fairs, different webinars like this. Make use of that. A lot of that are free, so as much as possible, attend all these different webinars. So I think next week, there's a research and education summit happening on Monday and Tuesday by, can't remember, MyRef, I think. So they have a lot of different talks from different industries talking about how you can work on your career, how you can build your career, your job application, how the industry is going to look like in the next few years. So things like that would be useful, so that you can actually start to plan ahead on which industry you want to join, which industry is not going to be there anymore in the future, which industry is going to be going up, trending up and everything. So attend all of that, and those are also opportunities for you to like start to network with professionals, start to network with people who are already working in the industry that you want to join. You want to take advantage of LinkedIn and other social medias, depending on what you want to do. Take advantage of your lecturers, just because they are there to help you and guide you. And if they've worked in the industry before, they can help you know more about the industry and what you're actually going to use. So like a lot of the things that you learn in university might not be applicable to the real life. So talk to your lecturers, talk to your seniors to actually see what do you need to do extra outside of the classroom that can help you prepare for for your work life later on. And then you're going to also work on your personal brand. This is going to be something that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but your personal brand is going to be really, really important because it is going to be essentially why companies are going to hire you. What strong things that you can do that is going to make you stand out in the job market, essentially. So your personal brand is essentially how you market yourself to the world. It's going to be your skills, it's going to be your experiences, your goals, your values, and your passion. So it's literally what makes you you. So for me, what makes me Syaza Nazura? What comes to mind when you hear the word Syaza Nazura? So you ask your friends, what comes to mind when you hear your name? When they hear your name, what comes to mind? What kind of like thoughts or skills or image comes to their mind when they think about your name? So that is going to be your personal brand. So your personal brand is important because it tells people about who you are as a person. It tells people about your value. It tells people about your experiences, your skills. It also connects you with the right people. So if your brand is strong, like-minded people. So if your brand is really, really strong as an artist or like an influencer, the more people is going to want to connect with you because of who you are. They know you, they trust you, they are confident in your skills. So it is really, really important. I'm going to give you a various examples of like people with really, really strong personal brand. So your personal brand can either be positive or negative. So if you think about Michelle Obama, she has a very, very strong personal brand. If you think about Siti Nurhaliza, she has a very, very strong personal brand because people know who she is if you just say her name. Talk about Mahathir, talk about Najib, people know who they are and what makes them them. If you talk about Donald Trump, people know who he is because of what he is and all his values. So you kind of like know the words that comes to mind when you hear their name. That is their personal brand. So you want to think about what is your personal brand? What comes to people's mind when they hear your name? So it is going to be what people say about you when you're not in the room. So of course, in front of you, people might say all the nice things. Behind you, when you're not there, when you're out of the room, kind of like, what would people say about you? And yes, Shafiqa, personal brand is kind of like literally like Khairul Amin, literally like Sofian K. It's literally kind of like what comes to mind when you hear their name. Like Khairul Amin, it's literally you think about food, you think about how he has developed his own personal brand, and you really kind of like just know what he does just by listening to his name. So yes, that is a really, really good example. So I am going to give you, this is just going to be like a quick individual activity. Just go and search yourself up on Google. See what comes up. See if what comes up on Google is who you are and what you actually are in the real world and what you actually are online. Just because a lot of employers will Google you up, they will want to find out more about you before an interview. So they will most probably like find you to see who you are on social media. Who are you on Twitter? Who, if you are on LinkedIn or if you are on Facebook, they want to see what you are and what the internet has to say about you. So if you have time, you can open a new tab, you can do it on your phone, or you can do it later as well. Just try and see what Google has about you and what you can do to like improve that. It might be a little bit hard if you have a really, really common name like Siti Sarah, because there's a lot of Siti Sarah. If you have Siti Noor as your name, probably going to be hard to find something about you because there's more people or like one strong person sharing your name. But if you have a really unique name, try to look you up. So like this is a case study, which is mine. So this was like I think a few weeks ago. So if you look at my name, Syaza Nazura, the first 6 that comes up are all the things that I have control over. So the first results is my blog. It's completely under my control. Everything there is everything that I want people to know about me and everything that I want to put out in the world. Even though it's wrong, I am not 25 anymore. Probably should fix that. And then it's my Twitter. Again, I get control over it. My LinkedIn, full control over it. My Instagram, my RSFM, and my Facebook page. So all of the things that come up when you look at my name, it's literally things that I control, and it's things that I know I have already worked on my personal brand. All the things that I posted in all my social media, all my networks are the same image. So I am not one person on LinkedIn and another person on Twitter. All the posting that I do, all the contents that I post, they are all aligned with one another. So you want to make sure when you look yourself up and when you are on social media to actually ensure that you are the same person. So you're not, say, on Twitter and being all like being a joker and being all unprofessional, and now on LinkedIn you're very, very professional. You want to make sure that you are portraying the same image across all your social media, just because you don't know where employees are going to look you at. They might skip your LinkedIn because they might think that, oh, everybody's going to be professional on LinkedIn, and they might just look at Twitter, or they might just look at your Facebook. So you want to make sure that you are portraying the right image across all your social media. So we're going to talk a little bit more on LinkedIn, just because it is an important social media for you to start building your personal brand, to start bringing up on your career and on what you can do to actually like build up your employability and to actually be noticeable by employers. So I'm just going to give you some short LinkedIn one-on-one tips. So treat it as an online resume. It is literally a list of all, you can include all the experiences that you have done in university, your degrees, your certification that you have done, and you can use the posting part. So LinkedIn is kind of like Facebook in the sense that you can post stuff on. So you can post stuff, things, any events that you have attended, just put up a content to say that, oh, today I attended this session and this is kind of like what I've learned. Top 3 things that I've learned from today's session. So you can use that as a way to like build your online portfolio so that people know kind of like the things that you have done, the things that you have attended, what you've learned. You can showcase your learning development. You can use it to connect with people in the industry. And you can also showcase your best work from university. So like any sporting events that you've attended, any student clubs that you've managed events for and everything else, you can always post that up. Your graduation, your FYP, post that up just to like keep a highlight of all the things that you've done in university. And you want to also be engaged and be involved. So you don't want to just be on LinkedIn and have a LinkedIn profile and then not use it at all. So you want to make sure that you are connecting with people, commenting with people on their posts, sharing your stories, sharing your experiences and everything else. And you want to make sure that it's updated. So you don't want to just create one now and not use it at all. So make sure you are constantly updating it with any new stuff that you have done and any new things that you have accomplished. And you want to be visible and searchable. So we're going to talk a little bit more on that a little bit later. and you also want to be professional. Like I said, you want to make sure that your image on LinkedIn is the same as all your other images on your other social media. So make sure that you actually use it professionally, because it is a professional social media. So it's not Facebook in the sense that you can post about, oh, what you're going to eat today, or where you're going to go for holiday, things like that. You want to make sure that it's mostly on your professional and personal growth. So you can use it for personal growth, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. Some people talk about why they are applying for a job because they want to feed their families and things like that, and that's fine. It's just make sure that you are writing it with a professional mind in your head, and not just talking about, oh, hari ni nak makan nasi goreng lah, esok nak makan apa, things like that. You don't want to use it too much like a Facebook, but use it as a professional way to like document all your growth and document all your learning and your career development and everything else. So let me talk a little bit more on LinkedIn. I'm going to show you my LinkedIn page. So this is my LinkedIn page. Top things that you're going to make sure that you do on LinkedIn. This part is your image. So your header, most people leave it blank. So you don't want to leave it blank. Make sure when you have your LinkedIn page to actually like upload a picture on it that is something that is like representing you as a person. So for me, I put my name, I put this quote, because this quote is literally why I do the whole everything that I do, and I put my contact details. Some people might put a graduation picture. Some people might put a picture of the city. Anything is fine as long as you have something, and as long as that something is representative of who you are as a person and what you do. Make sure your name is there. You can put your full name, or you can put like just Syaza Nazura. It's up to you. Also, like, make sure you don't use like all capital letters. I know some people use like full caps for their names and everything. It doesn't feel professional, or it feels like you're shouting. So just make sure that you are writing your name normally as how it is. This headline, a lot of students and graduates, when they are on LinkedIn, they put their Bachelor of Business Administration at this university, or a chemical engineering graduate from university, or looking for a job. You don't want to do headlines like that, just because when people look you up, they're not going to find you if you say looking for a job, because they're not going to search looking for a job. When people look for other people on LinkedIn, they're going to look for the skills that you have, or job titles, or anything else that you put in there. So you want to make sure that you put in things that you want to be found for. And my Milo level here is more personal, just to give it a touch of like human touch, so it doesn't feel as formal. So like, if you are, for instance, studying chemical engineering, instead of writing chemical engineering like second year student at university, you can say, you can put down chemical engineering, and then you can put down a few skills that you use in your degree that you want people to find you by. So if you are a business student or an accounting student, you might say accounting and finance, and then a financial advisor. If you want to, like, you can put aspiring financial advisor to show that you are not yet the financial advisor, but you are aspiring to be one. So put down keywords that you want people to look you up by, and things that you want to be found with, because that's how people are going to find you. You want to make sure that you can actually see your university there. So like when you scroll down, you can include, this is where, like I said, it's going to be literally your online portfolio. It's because you're going to include all your working experiences, your volunteer work, your part-time jobs, your university is going to be there. So if you do any FYP, make sure you include your FYP in there as well. You can include all your degrees, all your volunteer work, you can include that in. That just helps them to get to know what you have done when you were in university, to show what you have. Some people can also have you can also have a skills and endorsement, just to show kind of like what you are good at and get people to endorse it. So like, get your classmates, get your, if you do an internship, get your supervisor to endorse your skills. You can also get your supervisor to write you a recommendation. So like, this helps people to like kind of like know people that you have worked with before, or like this was a director from INTI, so I did a presentation for INTI students. So she wrote a recommendation for me to show kind of like I know what I'm doing, and I'm really good at talking and everything else. So you can get your supervisor or probably if you've done volunteer work, you're a volunteer coordinator to write your reference or recommendation on LinkedIn to show your skills, to show what you are good at and things like that. You can also add your accomplishments as awards. So like if you got like Dean's List or like undergraduate chancellor, things like that, you can include that in as well. So that's kind of like just a little bit about LinkedIn. And you can also add a featured part on your LinkedIn. So this can be like posts that you have posted on LinkedIn, or you can also include, I believe, your resume. So I think I do my resume here as well, which is probably too long because I probably have a lot of things on my featured list. But you can also upload your resume there so that when people look you up, they can straight away see your resume. This is kind of like my portfolio. So for my portfolio, is things that I've written on the blog. For some people, it might be a link to the website that they've developed or a link to an online portfolio that you have done. So depending on what industry you want to get into, you can put up your link to the portfolio that you have so that people can see what you have done. And then you can also put featured on some posts that you have done previously so that people can see that you are sharing good stuff, especially if there are like I said, you can do personal posts on LinkedIn. So like this was a post that I posted recently about my husband on how he followed me to do my master's last time, and then that went off on LinkedIn because somehow people liked it. So it was a personal post that worked well on LinkedIn. So that's kind of like all depends on how you draft your post, how you post it, the contents that you share, and the lessons that you have learned from that experience. So one job or like one task that you can do after this session, just to post on LinkedIn. Probably you can take a snapshot of this and just say, today I attended this session by Ms. Syaza and this is what I learned. So things like that will help you to document your learning, to actually show that you came here just for the merit, not just for the merit. So like I probably know most of you probably attended because you wanted the merit and everything, but then you can also use it as a way to show that you are learning something new, that you are learning something that will be useful for you in the future. So you can use that as an opportunity to post things on LinkedIn and use it to build your content on LinkedIn as well. So that's all on LinkedIn. Before we go to the Q&A, I wanted to show you my resume. This, like I said, my resume is a completely black and white. I don't usually recommend people doing it in the same way that I do, just because mine is very wordy. So it might not fit you as a person if you're not the wordy type of person. It fits me because I tend to gravitate to writing a lot. But then a lot of people from this part, I do it in the paragraph format. Some people might want to do it in the bullet point format. That's also fine. Most people would usually do it in the bullet point format, which makes it easier to read. But then, like I said, don't go longer than 2 pages. So mine is 2 pages full and no longer than that. But then I also have, like I said, a master resume, which is literally every single thing that I have done in university, and it's currently 6 pages long. So all the part-time jobs that I've done, all the volunteer work that I've done, all the trainings that I have attended, all the personal projects that I've done, extracurricular activities. This is kind of like what I was talking about, that I forgot I did stuff until I read this and I was like, oh yeah, I attended this program. I've completely forgotten that I attended this program when I was a second year university student. But like having them here actually is very, very useful, so that I kind of like know what I have done, and just to remind myself on how much I have grown. And then you can have your skills thing to actually all the skills that you have and all the experiences to show where you have used those skills and what you have used it for. So having this, I put it in a PDF format to make it easier to show, but having this as a Word document, and you can use it to constantly update over time, so that after every event, go back in the master resume, add that in. After every activity that you have done, at the end of every semester, just take some time to like update the master resume, just so that you can keep a track of everything that you have done previously. So that's pretty much it for now. That's pretty much all that I have to share. We're going Friday, you want to come and join and we can have a Q&A session. That's okay? before we go to the Q&A, feel free to connect with me if you are on LinkedIn or Twitter or anywhere else. I am more than happy to stay connected with everyone. Just to say, because I really enjoy, like I said, working with students. So if you want to get connected to ask more questions in the future, or if you need help with anything, just feel free to reach out to me, and we can work things out together later. Okay? So fine, let's do Q&A.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Ms. Syaza, for such a wonderful and informative sharing. So I truly hope that all the tips, advices, or even the knowledge that have been delivered by Ms. Syaza just now can help us to pass very clear ways in our job hunting next. Okay, so before we put a stop to this event, we would like to have a Q&A session. So the first question is from Fatimah Rosli. The question is, if in a group discussion, if you are being given options to either become a CEO, COO, CTO, or CFO, which one is better to choose?
That is a very good question. So hold on, so if you are given option being CEO, COO, CTO, or CFO, which one is better to choose? I would say that kind of depends on what your end goal is. All of those have very different portfolio. Like CEO is executive officer, so you manage the whole organization. You are literally the head of the organization, and you make all the big decisions. CFO is more financial stuff. So if you really like working with numbers, go for the CFO, because that's essentially what you're going to do. CTO, COO, all of those, like I said, they have very different portfolio. So just think about what exactly do you want to do as a career? What is it that you want to learn and develop and do? And that's going to help you to gravitate to one answer alone. Because like some CFO can be CEOs, that's fine. But just think about kind of like what skills that you have and what knowledge and experiences that you want to build on, and which position, which of the three C-suite position that's going to be most relevant to that end goal that you have. So that's not going to be a right or wrong answer to that, because it's all based on who you are and what you want to do.
Okay, as for the next question, do the in is free to use and do it very fitly for searching job?
Yes, LinkedIn is free. It's free, but then there's also the LinkedIn Premium that you can pay for, which I don't recommend much. Well, I do recommend if you have the money for it, because it's very, very expensive. Even I don't pay for LinkedIn Premium. I always just use whenever they give me free trial for LinkedIn Premium, which sometimes they do, because I think it's like $20-30 per month or something for LinkedIn Premium, so you don't have to pay for it if you don't want to. The free LinkedIn is good enough. And yes, it is effective for searching for jobs, just because you get to connect personally with people. So use it to connect with, say, if you want to apply for a job at Maybank, you can go on LinkedIn, get connected with a lot of different people working in Maybank. You can even get connected with senior management who are working in Maybank. You can probably connect with CEOs. So use it as a way to connect and network with them. And the more you engage with their posting, the more maybe you can even message them to ask more about their experiences, to ask more about where do you think Maybank is going, or like what tips do you have for people who are interested to work in Maybank, or people who are interested to work in the banking industry. Learn from them, and then that can help you in the future when you are applying for a job, not just like landing a job, but just to show that you are good in networking as well.
Okay, so the next question is, say that someone has a little to none work experience. Can skills alone convince the interviewers to hire the interviewee? Thank you.
Like I said, you have experiences. It's just that you might not think that they're good experiences. So like, even if you don't have working experience, right? Anything that you do in universities can be considered as experiences. So that would be like I said, volunteer work, any student clubs and everything. Those are experiences. So just think about how that is going to be transferable when you are applying for a job. So might be one of the things that I used when I was applying for my job was that when I was in university, I conducted Project Inspirasi. So essentially what I did in that project as a volunteer is that I went to my old school, I brought a bunch of friends with me, and we gave a talk to the Form 5 students about, oh, this is what you can study in university, and this is what opportunities are available. These are scholarships opportunities that you can apply for. This is how you can apply for UPU. This is how you can prepare for scholarship interviews. So that was my volunteer work. But that was useful for me when I was applying for my job, is because I can show them that I developed the skills to lead a team. I developed the skills to actually talk to students and to communicate with students, to give a presentation in front of 200 students. So all these experiences, even though it's not working experiences, those are still useful. So you don't have to have work experiences per se to actually apply for a job. Just show them that you have done things and you have the skills and how you can use it in a job. So don't just say, I am good in teamwork, but instead say, I am good in teamwork because I have done this previously and this is how I'm going to be using it in this job. So always try to relate the skills back to how you're going to use it in your career and in the job that you are applying for.
Okay, so Ms. Syaza, we have another 3 questions. Is it okay for you to answer them all?
That's fine.
Okay, so the next one is Facebook essential nowadays? Because some of us doesn't have Facebook account and we pay attention more towards Twitter and Instagram.
It is completely up to you on where you want to be on social media. Some people don't have social media at all, that's fine. I think it's just you focus on what is going to be, focus on 1, what you already have, and 2, what you can use to, that is going to be most beneficial for you. So like some people might be more on Instagram and TikTok because they want to apply for marketing jobs and they want to show that they can actually do all the stuff that is in trend and aligned with how marketing is. That just shows that they might not have to be on Twitter. They might just be on TikTok for marketing, and that's fine. So if you're not on Facebook, that's fine if you're not on Facebook, because social media trends changes every year. So like every few years, like Facebook, it was Friendster, and then it was High Five, and then I can't remember what else, and then Facebook, and then Twitter, now TikTok and everything. So it's going to be constantly changing. So just think about which social media sites is going to be most beneficial for you based on what you want to do and how you can best utilize it. So like thinking about people that you can connect with. So if you are thinking about going into coding or like computer science and data science and everything like that, think about where you can find those people. If you're thinking about corporate life, think about where most corporate people will be at and connect with them based on where they are and not based on like kind of like what you want to do. Hope that makes sense.
Okay, so second last question will be, what's the worst resume mistake ever?
That is a very good question. Gonna be very, very hard, I think. But I would probably say, and I'm gonna say this with a little caveat because I know some people do this, but I think personally for me, the worst resume mistake is to get someone, I like to pay someone to write it for you. Just because, like I said, your resume is an extension of yourself. So it is a personalized document that showcases who you are as a person. So you can get someone to help you write it. You can get someone to help you design it, make it look nice. You have to write it yourself, just so that you kind of like know what is in your resume. You kind of like know and have control over what you are sending to employers. Like I, as a career coach, I do resume reviews, but then I don't write my clients' resume for them. I tell them that, oh, this is something that you have to fix, or this is something that is not sounding right. You probably have to expand a little bit more, things like that. But I don't write it for them just because the way that I write things is going to be different than the way that they write things. So you want to focus on ensuring that your own voice and your own personality comes out from your resume. Because if an employer gets a really, really nice written resume because you pay someone to write it for you, but then when you go for an interview and they ask you about something that is in there and you can't answer it, that is a very, very big red flag that you don't know exactly what is on your resume, or maybe they wrote something in that and then you didn't check it, and then it's the wrong thing and things like that. So you don't want to fall into that trap of like not being in control of your resume and knowing kind of like everything that you are writing in your resume in that sense. Like if you need help, yes, that's fine. Some people are there to guide you on like how to word your experiences and everything. That's what career coaches do. But then don't completely rely on someone else to completely write everything else for you. You're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry. So the last question will be tips on cover letter. Some tips on cover letter.
So cover letter. Aside from the things that I shared, 1 pages long. Don't make it too long. Because people are not gonna read it. They only have like a few seconds to like skim through your cover letter and your resume. So make sure that you write it in a way that is very, very concise and straight to the point. Always include the actual position that you're applying for, if possible, or as much detail as possible. So if you are cold emailing someone or like cold applying for a job, you can just be specific about you are looking for a job in the marketing department, and then say some roles that you are interested in. So don't just say I am applying for an internship or like any suitable position at your company, just because there are gonna be so many different positions available or like opportunities there. So you want to be as specific as possible with kind of like the jobs that you want to apply to, and then the when you are talking about your skills. So a lot of the people when they are writing their cover letter, they talk about, oh, I want to apply for this job at your company, and then they start talking about when I was in university, I did this and that, and then when I was doing my internship, this is what I did. Let me know if you have a position open for me. So it feels like it's not personalized to the company just because you are just talking about you the whole way. So always try to relate back to the company itself, to the position. Like I said, why are you applying to that company? How can you use your experiences to help them in that position or to grow? So like always include something that is personal to the company so that they see that you are interested in them, that they see that you really want to work with them and work in the position and not just looking for a job for the sake of having a job. Hope that helps you.
Okay, so that's the end of our Q&A session for today. Thank you to Ms. Syaza for answering all the questions given by our audience. And I would like to recap a bit what have been said by Ms. Syaza just now. The line was, whatever works for you might not work for others, and whatever works for others might not work for you. So you need to know yourself. It's all on you. You know yourself better, so everything's on you. So we finally come to the end for today's excellent session. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to again thank our speaker for today, Ms. Syaza Nazura Binti Noor Azmi, and to all the viewers for the support and contribution in making this event a success. I hope everyone have gained some input from the session, and may it will be helpful for your future. Ladies and gentlemen, before we end this live session, all students, please be prepared in front of your screen as the QR code will be in a moment. Please get ready with your QR scanner, and please scan this QR code as a proof that you've attended this event. With that, our ceremony ends here. Till we meet again in the upcoming event, I am your FAIZA RIZA, your moderator for today's event. Stay safe, everyone, wash your hands, and always maintain social distancing. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.